Hi folks, this is the first tutorial in a playlist that I'm preparing for performing kinematics analysis in the 3D Experiences uh, platform. Now, uh, the purpose of this first tutorial is just for you to know what is the content of the present playlist. Now, back in 2016, I prepared a tutorial book which was called Mechanism Design Essentials in the 3D Experience with CATIA applications. And I did not update that particular publication, and it has been 8, 9 years, and there have been a lot of changes in the interface and the functionalities of 3D experience from back then. Now, instead of updating this book, what I decided to do is uh, prepare tutorials for the content of this book, different chapters of this book, but with the present version of the 3D experience, which is released 2024X. Now, so this, although this initial book was in 2016, now the interface and the instructions that I give are coming from 2024X of the 3D experience. Uh, and this is going to be chapter one. Essentially, chapter one is introducing the topics and the joints discussed in this particular playlist slash book. Now, I want to remind you that what is buried in 3D experience for doing this kind of calculation is actually the DMU kinematics application or workbench of the CATIA V5. But if you know the CATIA V5 DMU kinematics, it's like night and day, although the functionalities are the same, because essentially it's the same thing buried into the experience, but all the icons and all the interface is completely different. Okay. Now, in the 3D experience, if you're going to do the kinematics, you really have to first, of course, start with an assembly. And then once you create the assembly, you can create the joints by going to the mechanical systems design. And if you want to perform simulation, in other words, some laws of physics, etc., you have to do that in the mechanical systems experience. Okay. Now, the chapters that I've done in this book and the reincarnation of it in the form of these video tutorial on YouTube are very simple structures because I want to use as few joints that I can in a particular problem so that I show the viewer the functionalities, how it's done, instead of making a very complicated assembly which has to be, simulated. I will concentrate on smaller pieces of that. For example, if I want to do a engine simulation, instead of doing a four-cylinder engine, I will zero in on the one-cylinder engine. And in fact, the simplified version of that is a slider crank mechanism that's going to be one of the chapters in the book. Okay. Now, that is before I got involved with 3D Experience, I was working with CATIA for the past, I don't know, 20 years, and I realized that myself and this colleague of mine, Dr. Weaver, realized that there was a gap in the public information available for people who wanted to do DMU kinematics using CATIA V5. So we actually wrote this tutorial book, and the one that the one that I prepared for 3D Experience is the modified version, completely revamped version of basically this particular book. Now, let me remind you the kind of joints that we're going to be modeling in this playlist and the book. Planar joint, which has 3 degrees of freedom, prismatic joint, which is a single degree of freedom. We're going to do a cylindrical one, which has not only translation, also rotation about a particular axis, spherical joint or ball joint, uh, which has 3 degrees of freedom rotation. Rigid joints, obviously everything is stuck together. Revolute joint. So actually, chapter 1 is going to be prismatic. Chapter 2 of this textbook slash playlist is going to be the prismatic joint, and the tutorial 3 or chapter 3 of the book is going to be a revolute joint. We can do gear joints, rack joint, as you can see, universal joint, screw joint. Of course, you have to, for a mechanism, you have to fix everything. So there is an anchor joint and point surface joint, point curve joint. All of these joints are going to be done in different stages of this playlist slash book. Slide curve joint, roll curve joint, and a cable joint. Now, this table comes from the book that I showed you, and the actually in the documentation of 3D Experience, that corresponding table is shown here. And literally, these are the table. This is the table of contents of that book. And right now, I'm doing chapter 1, talking to you about what is in the playlist, what is in the book. And then chapter 2 is going to be block accelerating along a path, which is going to be prismatic joint. And chapter 3, which is tutorial 3, is going to be a rotating arm, which is a revolute joint. And we're going to worry about these things later on. All right, I hope you benefit from this. There are some uh, good other tutorials, but I found that because those mechanisms are relatively complicated, it's difficult for a novice to get to know what the elements uh, of these simulations are. Okay, so I'm trying to bridge that gap by doing this playlist. Good luck.